On a Friday, it was a 158-year-old institution worth billions. By Monday morning, it was the largest bankruptcy in the history of the United States. $600 billion in assets, 25,000 employees. Gone. This is the weekend Lehman Brothers died. And the man who ran it never saw it coming because he refused to. Lehman Brothers didn't start on Wall Street. It started in a cotton shop in Montgomery, Alabama in 1850. Three German immigrant brothers taking cotton as payment when farmers couldn't pay cash. From cotton, they built an empire. By the 2000s, Lehman was the fourth largest investment bank in America, a titan, a survivor. It had lived through the Civil War, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and the crash of 1929. And at the top of it all sat one man, Richard Fuld. On Wall Street, they called him the gorilla. He was ruthless, combative. He'd stare you down across a table until you blinked. He ran Lehman like it was his own private army, and for years, it worked. Under Fuld, Lehman's stock soared. His people were loyal. His enemies were afraid. Between 2000 and 2007, Dick Fuld reportedly took home nearly $500 million in pay. $500 million for one man. But that empire was built on something Fuld didn't want anyone to look at too closely. Borrowed money, mountains of it. Here's how the game worked. An investment bank makes money by making bets. And the bigger the bet, the bigger the payday. So Lehman borrowed and borrowed and borrowed to make its bets as large as humanly possible. By 2007, Lehman was leveraged more than 30 to 1. That means for every $1 it actually had, it had borrowed 30 more. 30 to 1. Think about what that means. If your bets drop just 3 or 4%, you're wiped out. There's nothing left. And where did Lehman place those enormous bets? Real estate, specifically the American housing market, and the toxic subprime mortgages stacked on top of it. Fuld's Lehman gorged on it. Mortgage-backed securities, commercial property, billions upon billions, all riding on one assumption: that house prices would never fall. Then, in 2007, they started to fall. The bets went bad, fast, and Lehman was drowning in assets that were suddenly worth a fraction of what they'd paid. So what did they do? They hid it. Investigators later exposed an accounting maneuver known as Repo 105. At the end of each quarter, Lehman would reportedly shuffle around $50 billion of debt off its books, just long enough to show investors a healthy balance sheet, then quietly bring it all back a few days later. It was, as one examiner put it, an accounting gimmick, a magic trick to make the debt disappear on paper. But you can't hide $50 billion forever. And by September 2008, the trick was about to run out. Friday, September 12th, 2008. Lehman's stock was in free fall. Confidence was gone. Nobody wanted to lend it another dollar. The bank had maybe days, maybe hours to find a buyer, or it would collapse. The Federal Reserve summoned Wall Street's most powerful men to its fortress-like building in downtown Manhattan. Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson delivered the message himself. Washington would not bail Lehman out. The private banks had to save it themselves, or let it die. The whole weekend became a desperate hunt for a rescuer. First came Bank of America. For a moment, it looked real. Then, Boffa walked away and bought Merrill Lynch instead. Merrill, sensing the water rising, had saved itself and left Lehman behind. That left one hope: Barclays. The British bank was ready. The deal was nearly done. And then, it collapsed. British regulators refused to approve it in time. Barclays needed a guarantee no one would give over a single weekend. The rescue was dead. By Sunday night, September 14th, there were no buyers left, no bailout. Nothing. Inside Lehman's headquarters, the phones stopped ringing. Employees who had worked there for decades sat in stunned silence, watching the value of their life savings, much of it in Lehman stock, evaporate in real time. At 1:45 in the morning on Monday, September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy. $639 billion in assets, the biggest corporate failure America had ever seen. And then came the image that defined a generation. As the sun came up, Lehman employees walked out of that building carrying cardboard boxes, their careers packed into them. Photographers were waiting. The pictures went around the world in hours. 25,000 people. Out of work, overnight. And the man who put them there? He wasn't finished defending himself. Not by a long shot. Lehman's collapse didn't stay contained. It detonated. Within days, credit markets around the world froze. Banks stopped trusting each other. Stock markets crashed. What had been a financial crisis became a global one, the Great Recession. Millions of ordinary people who had never heard the name Lehman Brothers lost their jobs, their homes, and their savings. And Dick Fuld? In October 2008, he was hauled before Congress. Lawmakers asked him the question the whole country was asking. How could a man be paid nearly $500 million to run a company straight into the ground? Fuld pushed back. He insisted his pay was far lower than the numbers being thrown around. He blamed short sellers, the media, a storm of panic. In his telling, Lehman was a victim. He was never criminally charged. He kept his fortune, he kept his homes. The 25,000 employees carrying boxes got no such landing. That is the part that still burns all these years later. The gorilla of Wall Street walked away. The people who trusted him did not. Lehman Brothers survived the Civil War. It survived the Great Depression. It survived for 158 years. And it was destroyed in a single weekend. By greed, by leverage, and by a man who refused to believe the empire he built could ever fall. If you want more stories of the empires that fell and the men who let them, subscribe to the Boardroom Archives. Because history doesn't repeat itself, but on Wall Street, it always rhymes.